Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. I have the DJI Mavic Pro with me today. And what we're going to do, this is going to be a little bit of an experiment. It's some things that I have not done. One of my subscribers, Blair Air, showed a feature where you can double tap on the screen and get the gimbal to look at whatever it is you're double tapping. I've never tried it. I want to try it today. And then also, I had a subscriber ask if you could pan the gimbal manually. And I know on other DJI drones, you drag your finger across the screen and you can point the camera one direction or the other. I've never tried it with the Mavic 3, so we're going to try that today. And then the other thing that I'm going to show is, and I think the easier way to pan, obviously, is just using the yaw stick. So I'm at Kleiner Park, and I'm with my friend Bill Lewis here. Bill Lewis is a guy that we worked together, 40 years ago at Crater Lake Dairy? Yeah. Crater Lake Dairy. Yep. And he's got a FIMI X8 SE. We just got through flying it around a little bit, but let's quit messing around. Let's get this bird in the air. Hey, okay, we're all fired up here. I've got plenty of satellites, 21 satellites, etc. As usual, I always like to look at the safety menu, click the three dots up in the top right, and you can see the obstacle avoidance. I've got it in bypass mode, meaning that it'll go around anything. Bypass options, I've got it in normal rather than nifty mode. Not a big fan of nifty mode. That kind of delays things. Radar map, we've got that on. That tells me on the screen if there's any obstacles near me. Optimal return to home. That's where the drone will actually lower itself down as it comes in. Instead of flying at its return to home height and then going straight down. We've got return to home set at 30 meters. Yeah, everything else looks okay. It's not asking for any kind of calibrations. I always look at the battery real quick. Obviously this guy is in great shape, so nothing doing there. Let's go ahead, let's leave it in 4K, 30 frames per second video. I'm going to start recording now. Let's do an auto takeoff on the app. Now DJI asked you to go straight up 7 meters to give the drone a good look before you move off, to give the drone a good look at its landing zone. So 6.5 meters, that ought to be good enough. So one of the things that I was bragging to Bill about was the obstacle avoidance on this drone. So Bill, I'm going to push that stick straight forward. It will not hit us. It's just not going to do it. And in fact, the only way that we could get this drone in close to us is we'd have to go in and shut obstacle avoidance off, turn it off here for just a second, and that way we can bring this guy in nice and close. That's a big old camera there, isn't it, Bill? That's a big camera. Okay, let's back it back up. Yeah, let's turn that obstacle avoidance back off. I just want to show Bill here too. I can either put it in brake, where it'll just, if it sees an obstacle, it'll just come to a stop, or bypass like we did, and it'll go around it. So, but anyway, it's time to do our, let's get out of that screen, and it's time to do our droney. I'm going to drop that camera down just a little bit, and it's looking at us, it's squawking at us, it says it's too close. Reversing up now, reverse and up. Drop that camera down a little bit, and I kind of cross-coupled there somewhat. And there we are, off in the distance, fading away. So let's bring her back in, and I'm going to show off just a little bit for Bill. I want to do another. When we were flying Bill's drone earlier, his FIMI X8 SE, I was showing him how to do an easy way to do a rotation, and that's just to split the sticks go straight apart with the sticks, and you can rotate around. It'll just do a perfect circle around any object. And of course the key is to adjust where you keep your point of interest in the center of the screen, which I'm not quite doing, but getting pretty close. And everybody that watches my channel knows I have another favorite trick. We're going to drop the camera down here as we go. We're going to get right over the top of the sculpture here. And I just always think that this is one, and I'm pointing the camera straight down. We're going to get right over the top of this sculpture. I'm in normal mode. I'm going to put it in cine mode, slow things down a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a rotation and a reveal, and we do that all on the left stick. So I'm going to push that left stick up and to the left, and we're going to rotate and gain an altitude at the same time. And you get that nice rotation effect. And you can speed up by tilting the stick either way. But then when you want to do a reveal, and I'm not ready to do a reveal yet, but as soon as we get pointed around the other way here we go. I'm slowly picking the camera up. And as we pick the camera up, there we are. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Meridian, Idaho. And here's the park. There's the senior center right there. So one of the things that my friend Blair Eyre talked about is double tapping the screen. So kind of the purpose of this video, double tap the screen and it will point the gimbal at whatever you're looking at. So I'm going to try it on the picnic shelter here. I've never tried this before. Let's try it right now. Double tap. No, that just changed my EV value. Let's try it. Let's try something more in the center of the screen. And I might be too far away. Double tap. Yeah, that's just changing my EV value. So it's pretty clear I'm doing something wrong here. So I don't know if there's a setting there I need to change. And I'm going to purposely point the camera up, and let's double tap. There, it did it. Yep, perfect. Pointed the camera right at the senior center there. Yeah, that's pretty clear. So I don't know if I just was doing it too slowly before. So let's pick the camera back up again. So let's try that one more time. Let's try it on, again, let's try the picnic shelter over here. So I'm turning the drone around where we can kind of see where it's at. So the picnic shelter now is at the bottom of the screen. So let's double tap. And it did it. Look at that, centered it right up in the middle of the screen. So that's a handy little way to get the drone to look at what you want. Let's try dragging the finger across the screen to pan the camera. So I don't know if that'll work on this drone. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. In fact, it just put me in spotlight mode is all it did. So that I evidently is not something that you can do with the Mavic 3. Let's try it again. I'm trying to remember that. I'm pretty sure the Mini 2 you can do that, and some of the other drones. But yeah, I'm dragging my finger across the screen and it is not changing the direction of the gimbal. So I'm saying that's not going to work. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're going to pan, why not just yaw the drone with the left stick? I mean, I'm not sure. I suppose if you were moving forward, I don't know, we can try that. Let's come down a little lower and let's move forward. And I'm in cine mode. I'm going to go back into normal mode, get a little bit more speed. And I'm going to try and move the camera. Now I'm dragging my finger across the screen and it's not doing anything. It's trying to go into spotlight mode. So yeah. So you cannot pan the gimbal like you can on some other DJI drones. I just wondered about that, thought it was worth a try. But that double tap, let's try that one more time. We got the little pump house right next to the pond here. Double tap. Whoop, no, I didn't do that correctly. One more time. One more time. Yeah. Well, it's kind of hit and miss. I'm wondering if that is just not a big enough target for it to see. I'm going to get down a little lower here. Double tap. There, I did it. Got it centered right on the little pump house there. Yeah, that's a pretty slick trick. Something cool to remember. So I think while we're at it here, we need to go over and check out the pickleball courts. There were a bunch of people over there earlier.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and we're not going to fly over the top of them, but we're going to see how active that is. And my favorite band shell here that my architect friend Mike Wright said, who the heck would make a band shell and point it due west? Well, evidently Meridian Parks and Recreation. That's why you got those big, not tents, whatever, those awnings right there to keep the sun out of their eyes. Okay, the pickleball, and pickleball is getting to be just so popular, and there's nobody on those courts right now, and they were packed earlier. They were absolutely packed, and now everybody's gone. So let's say that that we wanted to look at the picnic shelter here. Let me try double tapping again, and look at that. It just zeroed right in on it. That's a neat trick. My friend Blair Air taught me that. So I'm with my friend Bill Lewis here. And Bill, how long ago was it that you lived in Idaho? 45 years?
No, we moved in 1965.
1965, so wow, almost 60 years then.
Yeah.
Almost 60 years. So this was all just fields, right? When you,
Oh, yes.
yeah, nothing but farmers' fields.
Right.
Well, heck, it was farmers' fields when I moved here in the late 90s. So
Fairview was too late.
yeah, and boy, look, all the amount of construction is amazing.
Right.
As long as we're out here flying, I think we ought to do a little tour around here. So I'm just going to move directly across. I don't go down roadways and fly over automobiles. I just try and go directly across. But let's take a look at the new construction here off of Records Avenue. These great big, I don't know, I call them beehives, these big apartment buildings. And I know people have to live, they need someplace to live, and so I'm not against it. I'm just saying that it is a change. I mean, there's always been apartment buildings, but boy, oh boy.
It's a good time to be in construction.
It's a good time to be in construction.
In Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, that is a fact. Oh, look, they're building garages down here too. Look at that. These folks are going to be able to have a garage for their car. So what I always objected to in these kind of, when I first moved to Idaho, I lived in the Signature Point Apartments off Cole Road, and man, you could hear your neighbors every time they had an argument or. All right, we are getting a little bit of signal interference here. Yeah, I'm faced exactly directly away from the drone, so that is not. And we're fairly low in altitude, so that's nothing to get too worried about. But let's bring the drone back to us. And so if we're talking about how you can point the gimbal and keep things in center of frame. We talked about that double tap. That's a pretty handy thing. One of the neatest features, and I've shown this many times on several DJI drones, but spotlight mode to me is just stunning. It's just a stunning way to set a point of interest and not to have to worry about pointing the camera, but simply flying the drone and keeping something in the center of frame. So I'm just going to draw a square in the middle. And I tapped again and that took it away. But that gave us spotlight mode. So we're in spotlight mode right now. And what I can do now is I can either choose point of interest. I click point of interest, I can click go, and we're go, and it's going to go, in this case, counterclockwise. I can increase that speed, and it's just going to do a perfect orbit around us. In fact, let's crank it up all the way. And I can set the remote controller down, and it's just going to do a perfect orbit around that. So let's click stop here, and we still have the point of interest. So I can fly the drone, and it's going to keep the camera right on that point of interest, no matter what I do. I'm not touching the camera controls at all. I'm just simply flying the drone, backing it off now. I'm doing all this on the right stick, and if I want to do an orbit, I'm just holding the stick directly to the right, and the drone is doing that perfect orbit. Let's go forward, and it'll keep that point of interest right in the center of frame. So DJI just gives us so many ways to control the gimbal and to ease the workload on the, and I'm trying to click out of that. So we're out of spotlight mode now. I'm going to see if we can find somebody coming around the, if we can, I was hoping we'd maybe see a car driving around the loop here, and we do some tracking. Oh, here we got one. Maybe I can catch this guy. Let's give it a try here. I'm going to move forward, drop a little altitude, and let's see if we can catch this guy. Nope. Nope, we didn't do it. Oh, well, I thought, well, subject lost. Let's try the next one. Nah, didn't get it. Let's see if we can catch these guys. Here, I'll get him as he slows down. There we go. So we're going to do active track, and we're going to follow him from behind and go. I didn't click go. So the drone is just following that guy. And it even recognizes that it's an automobile. You can see that on the screen. Bill, I did this with boats yesterday on Lucky Peak Reservoir. It recognizes it's a boat, and it'll just follow it.
I saw that on your Florida videos.
Yeah, yeah. And that, Bill, on that Florida video, that was with the DJI Air 2S. So it would just follow these guys all day long if we wanted it to, but we're going to stop, and it'll catch him. You saw it go behind a tree there, and it lost it for a second, but its predictive algorithm, it'll catch it on the other side. As soon as I tell you that, it didn't. Yeah, as soon as I was bragging on it, now it lost it. Subject lost. Okay, I think what we should do now is bring this guy in for, and see if we can get a precision landing. Right over the top of the senior center. Let's go out of in fact, I'm gonna brag for my friend Bill here. We're gonna throw it in sport mode. That turns obstacle avoidance off. You have no obstacle avoidance in sport mode. Full throttle here. Let's see how fast this guy will get going. Getting out here to the corner of the field. And you can hear it right over the top of us now. 21 meters per second. I let off before we got over Fairview there. So we got up to 21 meters per second. Just doing the math in my head, that's about 46 miles an hour, something like that. Okay, so I've switched it back into normal mode. We're going to do a return to home, and I'm going to do that on the app here. I can either do it on the controller or on the app, but I'm going to click the little down arrow, maybe. Whoops. There we go. And then just hold down return to home. Go home. And here it comes. And let's see if this guy will, if it'll hit the pad here, or if we're going to mow some grass. And flight time, Bill, we're just at 46% battery. This guy, you click on that battery icon up there, and it'll tell you how long till you're going to be out of battery, and so forth, until forced landing.
Yeah.
And let me drop that camera down. It's about over the top of us here. Pulling that camera straight down, and we're going to see we're gonna see if we're gonna mow any grass, and it stayed at its 30-meter height that whole time, or if it'll find the landing pad. And I don't think it's not finding the pad. Yeah, we're gonna mow a little grass here. And it picked the camera up so it doesn't shove the camera down in the ground. In fact, I'm gonna pause that. I stopped it.
It's about the same place that this will look like.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in cine mode here. And Bill, I have this I've got really lousy depth perception. So what I do is I drop that camera down so I can kind of see where it's at. And I can't tell if I need to go. I think I need to go backwards here. Yeah, there we are. There. But dropping that camera straight down, you can kind of just get that target over the top. Oop, a little more to my left. And then I'm going to pull the left stick straight down, put it in landing mode. And it'll kick that camera up again. And boom, on the pad. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, we got it there. Let's see, let's remember to stop recording. And I'm going to stop recording on the screen recording. Let's get everything shut down and we'll do a quick conclusion. Hey, okay, so that was just a quick flight with the DJI Mavic 3 Pro. I always got to think about these names. There's so many names on these drones, I get them confused all the time. DJI Mavic 3 Pro. So what we determined in this video, thank you Blair Air, that double tap works. Man, that is cool. If you want to just point the camera at whatever you're looking at, double tap on the screen and it'll point at it. And it's a quick double tap is kind of what I found out. It was the way to get it done. What you cannot do, and you've been able to do on some other DJI drones, is drag your finger across the FPV screen and get the gimbal to move side by side. I could have been doing something wrong, but I don't believe, this is a big gimbal on this guy, so I just don't think that that feature is part of it. I wonder about that because really if that's what you want to do, all you have to do is yaw. If, say, you're going in a straight line and you want to put it in, like the toy drones, they called it headless mode, you could literally put the drone into a line fly situation or in cruise control, and I believe you can still yaw in that kind of situation, and you could pan right or left, whatever you want to do. So that's just the way, just a couple thoughts there, that's the way I would do it. So other than that, we did a little bit into spotlight mode, and we showed really all three versions of spotlight where it will keep the camera on whatever you select. That's another feature that I think is awesome. If you want to keep that camera pointed at something, that spotlight mode is your friend, and then you just fly the drone, and takes load off of you as the pilot. You're not worried about pointing the camera. But then we also showed where it will do perfect orbits in spotlight mode. And we did a little bit of tracking. There was a car coming around the loop there, and we tracked him for a little bit. Really cool feature in spotlight mode, and that is a way to control the camera in an automated way, again, to take some workload off of you as the pilot. So anyway, I'm just having a lot of fun with my friend Bill Lewis here. We flew his FEMI X8 SE a little bit earlier, and yeah, talking about old times. I was trying to think, Bill, probably the last time we saw each other was nearly 40 years ago, right?
Well,
would have been in the
you
early
were-
80s.
You were a young kid then.
Yeah. So Bill and I both worked at Crater Lake Dairy in Klamath Falls, Oregon, Klamath Falls Creamery. And I was, well, I did a lot of stuff, but I ended up being a driver for the most part, delivering milk. And Bill worked in the milk room, ran the gallon machine, right?
You got a good memory.
I do, and at that time it was pure pack gallons.
Yeah, yep.
And I remember, and I remember you lugging those things and putting them in the milk cases and so forth. And every once in a while I'd get to help you, and pick up those stacks of milk and wheel them in the cooler. But Bill did it all. Filled the milk in the jugs eventually, but before it was pure pack gallons, and then you got to wheel those stacks in the cooler too. It was a lot of work. But anyway, enough reminiscing about dairy days. Both Bill and I want to say hello to our friend Diane Eastman Shockey and her husband Orville, but we both worked with Diane at the dairy as well. And
yeah. And I want to say hi to the kids, and I want to thank the drone master for giving me some lessons today. I really appreciate it.
Bill, I'm more than happy to do it. It's just I love this kind of stuff. It's just a lot of fun.
It's given me a new addiction.
Yeah. Next thing you know, Bill will be buying one of these.
Mortgaging the house.
Yeah, second mortgage on the house. Okay, I guess that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford and Bill Lewis with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one, the DJI Mavic 3 Pro. See you guys later. Bye.